my reason for going back to school was so my daughter could see me struggle. She could see me cry. She could see me be discouraged. She could see me want to quit, but keep going. Because that is the same thing that she did.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point, you realized you were married into crazy.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as we unpack this crazy thing called marriage.
So sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
All right, let's go.
So I'm going to file a complaint. Snooks just hit me in my face with her hair.
my God.
Welcome to episode 91 of Married into Crazy with Snooks and Levy. I'm Levy.
I'm Snooks. He's actually man baby, but okay.
Why you call me man baby?
Because I'm going to go tell mommy you hit me.
I would. I'm gonna call your mom, and I'm gonna tell her you're abusing me.
Whatever.
We want to welcome everybody back to the podcast. We're really excited because we get excited every time we get to spend time with you. When we get an opportunity to get in front of the microphones and share and discuss some of the things that are going on, in a contemporary marketplace or in the world. But then also, what? What are you gonna say?
Nothing. I just think it's funny that you said we get excited because we get to share, and I was thinking to myself, that's because nobody's listening to you at home. I felt like
Amen.
you were gonna go and say,
Amen.
that.
Go ahead, preach. Preach. Come on, you're in the pulpit now.
Whatever.
Let the world know how
Levy is
none of these
so-
women in this
oh
house,
my
none of these
gosh.
ladies, none of my or my son, and for that matter, Isaiah, none of y'all listen to me.
Babe, cut it out. Cut it out.
I'm just saying. It's the truth. So, look, I said that early on in our podcast when we started in the very beginning, almost 2 years ago, that this was not going to be a political podcast. And in that time frame, there have been several things that have happened, and we might touch upon it for a specific reason without going into the politics, so as not to really rub people the wrong way. And that's not going to change. But I do believe that, we need to say George Floyd's name, and of course Ahmaud Berry, and there's so many more names that can be mentioned. But I do want to say this because right now there's a lot of unrest in the nation where there's protests, there's riots, there's the National Guard has been called out, there's curfews that are being implemented across the entire United States, and this isn't to discuss those topics, but it is to say that we're hurting as a nation. And when those things are taking place, I'm just asking that each and every one of you that are listening to us for this from the perspective of you want to learn more about your relationships, you want to grow together within your relationships. I'm asking that in these situations, we need to be able to come home and feel safe.
Yeah, just come home and plug into each other. And just even if you don't have anything to say, or just, make sure that each other is okay. It's kind of like we talk about checking in. Some things may affect one person a certain way or particular way, whereas the other person may not feel that way. And it's okay to have difference of opinion, but just check in with each other and plug in. And, most of all, too, people, be safe. Just pretty much be safe out there.
Yeah, be safe because it's a strange time right now. It really is. It's a very strange time. And respect the sanctity of your home. Come home, have those difficult conversations, those things that you're experiencing. And if you have to decompress and you need to cry and you need to, embrace each other and have these difficult conversations with your children as well, do those things. But at the end of the day, the home should be the place where we can come back together and recharge each other and lift each other up. And that is the goal, is that we prepare each other to go out, even if we have to go in separate directions, that we do go out into the world as a united front, even as we're apart, and prepare each other to go out and do whatever we need to do for the betterment of our families. So please, keep each other accountable, but more than anything else, keep each other lifted up. And so I just wanted to put that out there. So the topic of this particular podcast.
But there's a lot. There's a lot. That's also that has been going on too. I think that there's something else we haven't really talked about, probably because we did the interviews and stuff. So just I want to give a shout out to the graduating class of 2020. You know, this is a big deal year, 2020. You know, you're going into another decade, and these kids, they work so hard, just to be able to graduate and to see it all ripped away from them. As far as the accolades, I should say, they didn't get the accolades and the proms and
The trip to
all
Disneyland
the all
and
the
the senior
gay
night.
the happy gala events and stuff that you look forward to as a senior cut day. I mean, they had senior cut 6 months, whatever, but I just congratulations to the class of 2020, because it's a hard thing to do all this and get your cap and gown to have nowhere to go. you
So
know
true.
what I mean? So
And, with all this stuff that's happening out there, and you come out, don't forget about the kids, and not just the kids, but you have people that are graduating from high school, from middle school, they're getting their promotions at every level. When they said that starting off the year, there was so much promise, there was so much anticipation about it being the year of 2020, the year of vision. This is the year that we're going to sit here and get our vision out there. We're going to make a plan. We're going to go. And starting off, because of coronavirus, the year of 2020 was about blurry vision. And now I feel like the vision, like eyes wide open.
well, the other side of that too, though, if you think about it, the coronavirus, I feel like, made a lot of people slow down. There are some people who still continue to work at whatever pace they were working. For myself, I did not work from home. It was business as usual for me. It was a lot harder and more strenuous because of we had a lot of people that were absent. So we had a lot of challenges that we had to overcome at work. But I just feel like a lot of people were able to slow down, and maybe some people took the time to. Okay, so I would never had this amount of time while I was working to make a business plan or to set a goal or to have a vision board. And so maybe, hopefully, people who had stuff going on, they took the time that the downtime, and they were able to make some of those start those dreams to come true.
No, I agree. And it's funny. So I had a health scare during this time period where I don't think we've gone into it, have we? I don't think we discussed it because we had the interviews. I ended up getting a diagnosis of bladder cancer during this process.
I'm trying to think, did we?
I don't think we did. And so that transpired. And when it took place, I know me. What I would have done normally is I would have looked at my calendar when they said, okay, well, I need to get you in for surgery, as soon as possible. And in doing that, I would have looked at my phone, looked at my calendar, and tried to schedule something according
to how let me see what this is, and let me see how blah blah blah, and who can I move around. And he would have tried to fit the surgery into his schedule instead of fitting his schedule around the surgery.
Right. And then I'm just being honest. That's exactly. And she knows me well enough to know that was my MO. But when I saw the sense of urgency that was in the doctor's voice and in his demeanor, and so you tell me whatever's open, the soonest that you have open. So they're able to get me in quickly, remove the tumors. There was a whole process that was in there, but it did force us to change our mindset a little bit. Our belief structure. It was just like we were so beholden to the job and the calendar and the rush and the rat race, and we're able to slow it down. And even you with school, you were able to kind of take your time. Not that you weren't already, but with everything that's going on, we were able to remove some other distractions. One of them was volleyball. My volleyball season got shut down, so I had to. Well, we didn't have to. We weren't able to travel like we normally do, and as much as it just really tore me up inside, because we had an amazing team this year that could have really made a run at nationals, and unfortunately, the girls' season got cut short. But on the silver lining was that you didn't have to go from hotel to hotel carrying your books and your laptop and everything. And while the parents were getting together or were going to matches and everybody's talking, you're not huddled off in a corner, trying to do homework and catch a little bit of volleyball. You're able to really focus on your studies, and you didn't have to feel guilty about it.
Yeah, that was my life for the last 19 months. Whenever at every volleyball game, I knew that there would be a little bit of downtime. I had my books with me, and so I have in the laptop. Is the laptop? Yeah, in the laptop. And so when the other team was playing, I'd be doing work. When Kiki was off, I'd be reading. Even at Ashanti's games, there were times where I took my stuff, when she had her long tournaments and stuff in college, I would take my stuff with me. And kind of like to your point about the blessing, as far as with the pandemic happening, it allowed the season to slow down, because the amount of, actually not slow down, it is screeching halt. The amount of work that I had to do this last class, I don't know if I would have been able to keep up, like I like to keep up, because I was struggling just being here. But to the distractions of, like you said, meeting with the parents meeting and being there for the girls, and then trying to in the car, and it would just been mind boggling. And as I was doing the work, I had to do a research project, and I was like, Lord, you know what you're doing, because your girl right here would not have been able to do this research project had I been in a hotel room or on the volleyball, at the volleyball game. And I freak out when I can't process my work the way that I want to,
Yes, she does. Imagine a high C, like when we talk about the DISC assessment, she's definitely the air traffic controller of that high C. And so if it's not just a certain way, or the routine is disrupted in any way, shape, or form, the procedures and the processes are off, it is heck to be around her.
It's so funny, because I was like, okay, they're like, okay, Mom, come on, just see paper it. And I was like, yep, I'm do it. I'm just see paper. And I tried so hard to do a C paper, and I kept saying, okay, I'm just going to do a C paper. And then I was like, oh my God, I don't even know how do I, okay, so I just write this. Oh, you know what? Just forget it. I'm just going to write anything down. And I did that for like one paragraph or whatever it was that I was answering. But that answer just would not, it wouldn't leave me. I'm like, on the next 2-3 pages, I'm, getting everything that I have put together, but that one paragraph, I was like, I can't do it. I had to keep going back. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. It's a good thing. It is a good thing, I will say that, but it was horrible. So
it's a testament to how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
And it's the congruency, and that you're the same all the way through and through. And that's I'm glad it was difficult for you to try and do a C paper. And we were being selfish. We were like, do a C paper so we can go to the movie.
Yeah.
Do a C paper so we can sit down and watch TV.
Yeah, everybody was watching TV. They were watching, what was it, the Planet Show, whatever.
Oh.
I was like, everybody's in there. Kiana comes in and she closed the door. I'm like, what are you doing? Dad said, close the door. I was like, I'm not on punishment. She's like, Mom, we're trying to help you. Just do your C paper and be quiet. I was like, wow, are you serious right now?
Yeah, so you had talked about that before a little bit too. But, so since we're on the subject of that, so how did it come along? So where are you at with your education now?
I'm done.
What does that mean?
I'm done.
Wait.
I turned my last assignment in on May 17, and my grade has been recorded, and so I just have to wait for my diploma.
So that means you have a what?
I have a Bachelor of Science in Sociology with emphasis on social work.
But did you just barely graduate, or?
No, I didn't just barely graduate.
With your C paper?
My C paper, I got a 3.87 GPA.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
So that means you are a magna cum laude.
Yeah. I should have an asterisk, though.
Look, there was one assignment because she was all up in her high C-ness.
No. Oh,
and
man, that still haunts
me.
That still haunts
It's hilarious. So she stayed up late when I working on this paper, and to the 11th hour, and then she was trying to submit. She had some technical difficulties.
Some computer difficulties, and
It wouldn't
the
submit.
paper would not submit, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And so right when it started to circle back around, I kept having to go out, come back in, go out, come back in. And at the point where I was like, okay, finally, and then I hit the submit. There's like, it's called turn it in. You have to submit it to
Right.
turn it in, and then after you submit it to turn it in, then it goes to, you submit it to your to the professor. And oh my gosh, when it didn't go, I think I almost destroyed the laptop or the computer.
Oh, because she woke everybody up in the house. This is like midnight.
No, it was almost midnight because it was due
Oh,
at
but
midnight.
no, and everybody knew about it.
Oh my! I didn't sleep that night. I was up. I think I had the shakes. Or it was crazy.
Look, we had the shakes. You ever seen that? Like, if you ever go to like an animal adoption site and you see like the little frail cat or something that's just like shaking in the corner, that was all of us
I
because
was about to say that was
she
me.
she was using words. She had a full on cussing vocabulary that we did not know that she possessed.
I didn't know I possessed it either.
Man, she was dropping all kinds of like
was
A B C D E F G bombs. She was she was throwing them out. Look,
Oh my gosh!
she was like Gap Band. She dropped a bomb on
Oh
all
my
of us that
gosh,
night.
then I cried. Oh my gosh, that was horrible. But it was a lesson for me too because I know, like you said, we laugh and we kind of joke about, okay, Rana, get out of your head. Okay, see paper it. So see paper it is our code word for hurry up, basically. Okay, I just need you to see paper it. So I know that as a high C, I've done this before where I get so stuck and in my I'm just paralyzed, and I'm like, okay, I have to, the paralysis of analysis. Yeah, ooh, I should have a shirt for that. I could have one in every single color because I analyze when it's time for work or whatever. I analyze and I stop and I need everything checked off, and I'm like, okay, so okay, let's just get started. Okay, but when we get started, I mean, that is just the process of how I do everything. And so I had to learn that lesson like, okay, girl, you got to move faster. So I ended up getting a B minus in the class. So I'm like, if I would have, it was 140 points. So had I submitted the paper, I would have got an A on in the class. So I was like, so my little B minus or 3.87 should really be asterisk.
Nope. Let that be a lesson to all you high C's out there. All of you. Do what the high D's tell you and just turn it in.
Really?
Get it
I
done.
just lost all my little.
Get it done. Just be
whatever.
done. No, but here's the thing. You did it.
I did it.
All these years later, what does it feel like to fulfill a promise to yourself?
It feels great. And it's so funny that I know that I completed the task and everything, and I look and I'm like, okay, my grade has been confirmed. My GPA is what it is, and a lot of people are like, oh, that doesn't matter. It mattered to me. It mattered to me. But anyway, now I'm in the part where I'm like, oh, I don't have homework. I'm so used to the first thing in my head is like, okay, so when I get home, I got to do, oh, and I probably got to do some read. Oh, no, I don't have to read. I don't have to whatever. But it really does feel great. It feels, maybe I'll have a different type of feeling too once I walk across the stage.
Which is delayed because
yeah,
of
it was delayed
coronavirus.
because of the virus. So, or when I get my diploma, because it's gonna come in the mail. So, but it feels great, like you said, to be able to say I did something that I promised that I was gonna do, a very long time ago. This journey for me started in 1986. I was going to college and then I stopped going to college because I started working full time, and then I went to college part time, took a couple classes, then I stopped, and then after Ashanti was born, went back, took a couple classes, and I stopped because I was like, what am I doing? I can't work full time and go to school and whatever, just for me. So when I had the opportunity to go back to class or go back to school, I took it.
So when we talk about the episode that we did many moons ago, it seems, 81 episodes ago, we were talking specifically about as long as you have breath, it's your season. And so, what advice do you give somebody that is in their late 30s, 40s, 50s that are, do you mind sharing your age?
I am 52.
52 and graduating from college with her bachelor's of science. So, when somebody is looking at achieving a goal, doing something they've never done before, I'm just curious. I mean, so should they not do it because of their age?
No, that's what took me so long too, because I really struggled with my age, the age part of it. Not so much my age, but just where I was in life. If, like we said before, if you're still breathing, it's your season. If you have breath within you, if you can think the thought and you are able to perform the function, then it's still your season. Everyone doesn't peak in their 20s and in their 30s. I haven't even peaked yet. Peak means that you're at the very top and then you start coming down. I haven't peaked yet. I'm still trudging or trudging, or whatever it is. I'm still doing that. I'm still climbing that mountain. Because there are things that I'm like, okay, you have certain things that are in place, and I'm either going to sit and I'm going to just stare and like, oh man, I wish I could, or I'm going to be like, ugh, let's just do it. Because what I don't want to do is do what I've done for so long. It's kind of live in regret to a certain extent. And I say regret because I've been very open and honest about how I felt about not having my degree. I've when you're in crowds or you're talking to people, I felt subconscious a lot of times because a lot of people, they were degreed, they had degrees, or they're like, oh, what school did you go to? Or, oh, okay, yeah, because my degree is in blah, blah, blah. And you can tell it's not like they were just saying it to make someone else feel bad or to pat themselves on the back. Sometimes it just comes up in conversation, what degree you have or whatever. And I never was part of that school. I didn't fit in that bunch. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. And so when you tell people, I don't say when you tell people, my experience at times has been, well, I don't have oh, okay, and maybe they were just saying, oh, okay, not a big deal. But because I felt some kind of way about myself not having the degree, I took it like it was a dig of some sort, not getting mad at them because that's on me, So if you feel like there's something within you that you want to do, then do it or work towards it. Because I've said before, if that thing that's within you, it's still within you after all these time, then go for it. There's a saying that you and Derek Taylor, you're like count to 5 or something before you buy something. Is that what it is?
Not before you buy something. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You do a countdown. You just jump in, and the author escapes my mind right now. I just can't think of his name. But there's a book out there, and it's not Hal Elrod, but it's somebody that I cannot think of the name. But anyway, it's all about when you want to do something, you just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
So
just do it.
I've counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 a million times, but I never went. I didn't pass go. I was, okay, you stretch and do whatever it is before you start running. And then I would either get to the starting line and not go, or I wouldn't even make it out to get on the field just because I felt intimidated by the fact that I know how to work. I'm a very good worker when I want to be. I know how to do that. But what if I can't accomplish this goal? What if I don't know what I'm doing? What if this stuff is too hard for me? Then what? What am I going to do? Because that's where I have to, that's when you face your own self and you're like, ooh, you're not as smart as you thought you were. If I don't attempt it, then I don't know how much I don't know. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
So by attempting it and going for it, then that puts me the onus back on myself, of course. And then I'm like, I can't blame it on, well, my mom moved out of town, and so I had to work because I needed to take care of myself. Well, I had a baby, and I was working full time, and so that was really hard. So that's why I couldn't accomplish it or whatever. There's so many reasons why. Oh well, I can name all kind of reasons why people don't do whatever. But there's a new responsibility. I've said this before too. When you achieve something, there's a new responsibility that is given to you because you're on a higher level now. And so now you have to play at a different level, and you have to do these things that you're like, ooh, I didn't even know I could do that. So
It's funny you say that. So my accountability group in the morning, I haven't talked about them in a while. This week we're talking about risk. What are you going to do? What risk are you going to take in order to move forward in life? And what are those challenges? What are you going to face head on? And at the end of every morning, 6 a.m. for an hour, but at the end, they plank. They've been doing this for a while. So I'm usually like on the treadmill, and there's a plank. So they've worked their way all the way. I say they because I don't do it all the time. The group has worked its way up to a 2-minute plank. And so Ashling is now like the DJ, right? So at the end, she'll sit there, and she's been designated as the keeper of the music. So she'll play the music, and somebody else keeps the timer, and everybody's planking. So I was on the treadmill. I didn't want to get off to do this. So I'm on the treadmill. They played a song. I want to say it was a Kirk Franklin song, and it went for 4 minutes because people were like, wait, how long is this going? What's going on? And at the end of the 4 minutes, so they asked, how long was that song? It was like 4 minutes. And I had pointed out to everybody, to the entire group, that, it's funny how we knew that there was going to be a 2-minute plank, and you were down for that. And then the song was playing, everybody's smiling, and, listen to the song. I could see people lipping it, and, and next thing you know, they're like, wait, what's going on? Song ends. They're like, how long was that? It was 4 minutes. So what seemed like an arduous task, that 2-minute plank, they didn't really become concerned with the 2-minute plank until they started approaching 4 minutes.
right.
And I point out, like, you know what, that goes to show that our minds play tricks with us. We put parameters and borders and boundaries around our abilities, what we can do, because we think we can do something. Therefore, that's it. We need to really take those blinders off and say, I don't know what I can do. I know I'm going to run in this direction. I'm going to run as fast as I can. I don't know. It might be a 4-minute mile. I don't know. It might be a 2-minute mile, but I'm just going to run. Rather than says, well, I'm really going to do this because I know I'm only capable of this, because in the past, I've only been able to do A, B, and C. And knowing me and knowing the way that I like, no. We need to stop all that, especially with our relationships. With our relationships and with the boundaries that we place around ourselves and what we can accomplish as couples. And I love the story that you tell, Snooks, because you're talking about how you had these boundaries that were self-imposed.
They were very much self-imposed. And it's very funny that you even say that too, because I remember, so my mother was like, oh, I don't want you to stop going to school, because if you stop going to school, you're never going to graduate. I know, I've done it, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, Mom, first of all, even if I stopped going back to school, this was when I was 18, even if I stopped going to school, I'm going to go back to school. Even if I don't go back to school till I'm 28, and for 10 years, I'll just be 28, And so I said, even at 38. So it's like,
Then it became 48.
basically, but it's like, you think about all these, the self-imposed whatever. I'm like, oh shoot, maybe I should have, oh shoot, now I gotta compete with, and I'm competitive. I don't mean to be competitive, like in the sense of, I'm like, you're not finna be in class and you smarter than me. I'm about to be smarter than you. And I don't know who's the smartest or whatever, but I'm listening to intellectual conversations, or I'm looking for it. And so if I feel like, I was like, oh, not that I'm trying to be the teacher's pet, but you're not finna be smarter than me. I'm about to be the smartest one in class. So I was like that when I was in elementary school, or not so much junior high school. High school, I was like, I don't care. But when you talk about our minds, it's our minds are that's so key, because in my own head, I had to get out of my own head and stop listening to myself, because myself was saying, why are you trying to do this? You're 50 something years old. What are you going to do? Switch careers? Who's going to hire you in a new career? Who's going to this? Who's going to that? And I think I believe I shared some of those concerns with you. and you're like, well, life experience, blah, 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 whatever. I have to tell you guys, I know that I would not have been able to go to school without Lovey's support, because Lovey had my back from the beginning. I mean, because he already knew that means there's going to be some missed meals, some laundry ain't
Some?
not going to be, some laundry is not going to be done. There's a whole lot of stuff that he took on a lot, because he'd be like, okay, kids, he would like be the shield. Don't bother mom. Leave mom alone. I just need a question. I need to know. Leave her alone. And sometimes I could hear him and his twin arguing in the hallway, because he's like, Dad, I just need to ask. He said, I said, leave her alone. And so on the sly, I'd have my phone and I'd text her. I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, Mom, oh my God, Dad, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, Dad's just trying to make sure that I got my study in. Okay. And so even the same thing with Ashanti. Ashanti would just be like, you know how he's protective of you? He won't even let me talk to you. And I'm like, babe, you know that I know, Mom, but I'm not trying to take up all your time, blah, 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 whatever.
And then she'll take up all her
And
time.
then she would take up all my time, and I'd stay up late because it was
But it's worth
important. Yes, it was. It's important. One thing that, one takeaway that I have, when Ashanti sent me, she sent me a text message, and she says, Mom, she goes, I'm so proud of you. And she was like, I wanted to drop out of school. I was going to drop out when this COVID stuff came, but then I saw you, and I was like, ooh, if my mom can do it, we could do this together. And it made me cry. And she never stopped telling me how proud she was of me. She's like, Mom, I'm so proud of you, and I'm just so happy for you. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. And I was like, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. And I think about, in I don't mean to go on and on, but when we think about having seasons, there was a reason why I did not complete my degree when I was younger. There was a reason that I did not know of when I was 18 or 19 or 28. I did not know that I was going to have a daughter that was going to struggle with self-esteem, with her confidence, with schoolwork. I did not know that she was going to need to see an example of somebody doing it, because we can go through life and we could say, well, I did it. Well, I did it. I got a degree when I was blah, blah, blah. Oh, I got my degree when I was da, 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 da. And I'm not knocking any of that. But my reason for going back to school was so my daughter could see me struggle. She could see me cry. She could see me be discouraged. She could see me want to quit, but keep going. Because that is the same thing that she did. It was so easy for me to say, babe, let me tell you something. I understand how you feel. I know what it feels like when I'm like, what the heck is going on? How come I don't understand this? I know the feeling of, I don't think that I'm going to be able to do it. I know the feeling of, oh my God, this is too hard for me. I know all that. And she saw me go through, and she saw me be discouraged. So when I came home one day and she was at the desk, and she was in tears, and she was like, I just can't get it because blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God. So that's me. Her spirit was reaching out to my spirit. And we sat here, and Lovey was here too. And we sat here and we talked her through this whole thing about what classes and this and that or whatever, and her tests and so on and so forth, because she was very discouraged. And so I was like, babe, do you not know how smart you are? And so, we, like I said, they call, okay, just see paper it. And I was like, just see paper it. Mom, I'm not smart like you. I was like, you most definitely are. You've been on honor roll all the way through school, So you most definitely are. This is just different. You can do it. So she would come in. I would sit down at the desk, and sometimes she'd come in and sit down at Lovey's desk, and we'd do our homework together, And then Kiana sometimes would come in, and she'd have her book, and the three of us would be in the office, or we'd be upstairs. We each had a laptop, and we're doing our work. But don't ever feel bad because it took you a long time to get around the mulberry bush. It may take some time, but you don't know who's watching you. You don't know who needs to see you struggle. You don't know who's saying, oh my gosh, if she could do it, I could do it. Don't ever feel bad about that. And don't ever let anyone make you feel bad about that. Sometimes I feel like people, oh well, I did blah blah blah, and I know that they're just talking about their accolades or whatever it is, but don't ever let anyone make you feel bad that you're where you are, as long as you're still pushing forward. Now if you just stop and you just be like, oh, just forget it, I ain't gonna do it, that's different, because now we have to work on your self-confidence. But sometimes we are where we are. We're in these positions because that's where God put us, because he knew that someone was going to have to see you do it. Someone was going to have to see you struggle, and they were going to have to see you overcome and complete it. So,
ladies and gentlemen, my wife. No, I think it's beautiful. And she was talking about how the girls would all get together and do their homework. There were times where they would go out on our patio in our backyard, and they'd all have like, their little space set up on the table. And it was a beautiful thing to witness, for them all just kind of grinding it out. Because of course, with coronavirus, everybody was home. So Kiki was home doing homework for high school. Shanti was home doing homework for her college. Rana was home doing, her homework for her college.
well, after I got off from work.
After she got from work. But it was one of those things where, and it was funny, like they would actually wait. I mean, they would do some work throughout the day. But like, hey, so what do you got going on this evening? Oh, we're waiting for mom to come home so we can all do our homework together. That was a really cool thing to witness. It's one of those serendipitous things that you find within the coronavirus and the pandemic. That would have never happened and again, I'm not trying to lessen the 100,000 lives that have been lost in the United States.
Right, exactly.
But what I am saying is that in the midst, in every storm, there is a blessing.
That's so funny, because that was just in my head. Kirk Franklin.
There's
a blessing in the storm.
Yep.
There
is.
There is. And it has been for us. There's been so many blessings in our storms that we've had as a couple, as individuals, but just being able to come back and piece everything together. Oh, this is for this is for that. God has really been kind to us. He really has. And so that's why we take this service of sharing very, very serious, because a lot of times the disillusionment of that people have, we don't like to tell and talk about things that go wrong. We don't like to talk about what looks ugly. We talked about this, I believe, before in the podcast, but I feel like it needs to be said again. The lessons are in telling. When you share your story and you share about yourself, you don't have to tell everybody your business, but when you share, you're teaching someone something. You're helping them with something. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. And that's why we love doing what we do in this podcast. Sometimes we tell stories, we bring in other couples. It's all about learning and growing and planting seeds and sharing what we've been through. Because like Snook said, God has been very, 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 very kind to us. It started with me being spared with my life. There have been multiple situations where it could have gone a different way, but in getting stabbed through my heart, God was very kind in allowing me to live. And for a very long period, I've always wondered why. I've never heard of anyone else being stabbed through their heart.
Me either.
So every physician I've ever spoken to, they're like, wait, you what? I've never heard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure there's others that exist. It's like the thing you see on Guinness Book where you see like the steel rod that goes through somebody's brain, but it went through in a certain way. And there's only like maybe one or two people that's ever happened to. But that God is kind. And I always wondered, why am I still here? For what purpose? And I'll be honest with each and every one of you out there. It's like, I truly do believe that Married into Crazy it's our conviction. It's what we were meant to do, to share, to go through what we've gone through as a couple and to be exposed to other amazing couples and to bring them to you and to continue to share our story and the things that we go through. It's a perspective. And we hope that what we share on a daily basis really helps you, We hope that it gives you some food for thought. We hope that maybe it shines some light on some things. If nothing else, I hope it makes you laugh. I hope it gives you some hope. Because right now in this climate and everything that's going on, we need hope.
Yeah.
And so the other thing we need besides hope is for each and every one of you to go to Apple Podcasts
And put 5 on it.
and put 5 on it, put them stars on it. And it doesn't help when we do it at the very end of the podcast. Should do that at the very beginning. But
No, that way, so if you do it at the end, as soon as you stop listening to it, you can go and just right away.
there you go. There you go. There you go. See, there's a design to it.
There you go.
No, but we hope we're adding value to each and every one of you in some way, shape, or form. And so the last thing we're going to do before we close out this particular podcast is add some value in the form of 2 for the road.
Almost 2 for the road.
Almost 2 for the road. So let's go ahead. We're going to do the... And I got to say that this past weekend, we'll talk about that next time. We'll talk about the workshop next time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is pulling from the Couples I Can, or the I Can for Couples, which has 40 affirmations in each one. It's an affirmation tool that starts off with I can, and then you have different things that you pull, and you would focus on that day or that week. You can either each do your own, or you pull one, and the 2 of you focus on it for 40 weeks, for each week. You get what I'm saying.
40 weeks.
40 weeks for one of these. Okay, so I'll go first.
Okay, go.
So I can give my undivided attention to my partner. Hey.
I can learn something new about my partner.
You know she's going to learn?
I don't know what I can learn new.
You're going to learn that
You finna teach
I
me?
had full-on expectations that, she's done with college?
Oh my God.
I'm about to get a home-cooked meal again.
Did tell everybody.
Because Lovey can't cook.
Lovey, you know how to cook.
Lovey don't like to cook.
Okay.
I got to tell the truth.
Yeah, Mom, tell the truth, please.
And when she said I was holding it down, I got so many restaurants on speed dial in my phone now.
No. It's very important when you have the support in your corner. I always said I'm in school, but we were actually in school together. We went through this together. I didn't go through this by myself. So
that we were. So hey, we're thankful for each and every one of you. Stay safe out there. If there's a curfew in place, please adhere to the curfew. We get a little nervous because our daughter works for a company where she delivers food, and she goes out at night, and there's a curfew, and she's working. But keep each other in prayer, and we welcome prayer as well for our family, as we'll be praying for our entire audience.
yeah.
So we're thankful for each and every one of you, and until the next time, be blessed.
Bye-bye.